Hello and welcome to my first ever game and first ever replay of this so-called Friends Open, which I'm going to play against my USSR enemy, and we're gonna start by doing this. Basically, when you want to play the friends, you want to rather get your early game advantage as soon as possible. So, let's note some things. First, as a friends, you would always like to get an armor base, because that's probably the friend's weakest side is the recon, and RT base because it's just so good, and 2 depots following along that. And I dropped a camo since we're going so many buildings, and we see that he's making some buildings over there. So first to note is that since he's in USSR, he's probably spamming barracks a lot. So we see a truck going here, a truck going there. We could assume he's taking these supplies, so I can assume these are barracks and these are barracks as well. So he's probably going to push for some cheesy 4 depot open with barracks and then touch straight into Guardia. So we're gonna count that into the game. So let's basically I opened this style, pump out 1 recon to get us going. 2 depots are fine since we're going to attack immediately since he's so greedy with those depots. So I'm pumping out some RT to help us immediately attack the supply depots he will be placing, since French strongest side is RT. I built in just an AT since he could have gone tanks, but it doesn't really matter. I've tested some opens, and armor plus anti-tank works well, armor plus RT works well, since France is pretty strong on both sides, but the AT is so good and the RT is so good, and you just need recon, and tanks are so good for France. Thing to note here is that France is usually kind of defensive faction, so you can't really get too much greedy into the start of play, but I decided to go anyways because, well, when the opponent's 4 depots, you literally don't have much time to actually do stuff. So I basically made 3 cannons there and 3 cannons there, and that was my whole strategy, just to go ahead and bomb this. If he basically only have barracks at this point, so you gotta remember that Panhard can mostly beat Russian recon there, and RT can work well against infantry if he doesn't split it well or do some crazy flanking, which he really can't do much at the start of the game. So he makes another building here, which is kind of good for us because it buys us time to bomb this depot. He doesn't have much of the R.U.S.E since he probably used some blitz, as we can see there. It's moving really fast. So we're just going to take this depot really quick, and we just decide to bomb it, and after we're gonna bomb it, we're just gonna retreat nicely. So we see an airport, which is pretty weird, like which Russian would actually go airport at this time to counter our artillery, but well, you never know. But I'm gonna assume that it's fake as per default. And on the other side, he actually uses camo as his card when we use the blitz here to get into positions faster, and we see some anti-tanks. So he has airport, he has 2 barracks here, he has 4 depots, and he has anti-tank guns. That doesn't sound right, so this is probably a decoy, and we see a truck moving there. We can assume it's either barracks, which it shouldn't be since the barracks are located here and he can reinforce it easily, or it's another supply depot we can bomb, so good for us. So we see another unit popping here. We're gonna bomb the anti-tank unit since we can't actually get to see the depot as we liked. We get some attacking going on our recon, on our artillery, I mean. We're bombing as well here, just basically. Then I turned the fan up to actually kill his armored recon. because I don't know, it seems so good. I think it actually can kill by its own. We got kind of one infantry, which is Strelki, which is really weird because I would expect the opponent with the 4 depots not to go AT, but you just go straight for the Guardia, because Strelki, well, let's face it, Strelki is really bad. It's 20 here. Like, the damage is 20, which is really bad, since the Guardia offers 100 per single unit at the same price. So, to quote all this, Strelki is really bad place to put your money in. Like, if we compare the dollar value per damage you're getting. So, never build Strelki, just do Guardia when you can if you're playing Russia. Guardia is really good at making a large amount of plays. So we bomb another depot over here, which means we are really getting the edge, since he's already built 2 depots here, where we can see we're on the good lead here. We bombed this depot over here, so that means we can probably retreat safely, since he doesn't have much. So, another thing to note, we already see he's building admins, so he probably decided, well, I'm not gonna defend these because it's so hard, you know, French artillery, it's driving me nuts, so I'm probably gonna use that money we just made here to just build an admin depot. So, how do we respond to that? Well, from this position I would say we're rather good. We're sitting on 2 depots, so our income is rather low at this moment, so I've decided to put the 3rd depot, which, after securing this flank, should be probably easy. We can reinforce with some tanks, reinforce with some light AT. Recon is still there, recon in the middle, as it should be. I never actually go around to build actual static defense such as Maginot at this point, so it's kind of useless here. We see 2 recons moving over here, and we can assume it's either Strelki or, oh, it's actually AT guns in the middle. We're gonna group up and retreat, since we can't really provide much protection. We're gonna wait for some tanks. Retreat the recon as needed, he retreats as well, so far so good. Now here he attacks with 2 recon, which is pretty bad for us, because we only have 1 recon here and 2 recons can kill 1 recon. So I've sent this recon to actually help there, and as well as a tank, since we can't really reinforce that, but I wouldn't count on tank. This tank is so slow it won't really get there anytime soon. So let's see how it goes. First tip is always stay in the woods. The woods grant you some defense, which is very much needed there. So you can fire back and retreat to your artillery while your recon fights the fights. So my recon gets damaged. We turn on the Fana, single target this. Micro. We pop this. We should be able to kill these recon while we're getting our AT guns, and AT guns will provide help us against those peasky recon units. Basically, if I would in his place, I would basically spam recon all day all long, because I don't really have much AT guns on the field. Instead of building like 2 admins here, you know, 2 admins equal how many recons? A lot, at least. Is it 6? Is it probably more than 6? I would say it's like 13 recons, so you can really do a little nice push with those recons. And we're gonna fight one-on-one here. We're just gonna actually bomb him down and take him out, so that's good for us. So here, this composition, we have same again, 3 artillery, Panhard, 1 tank, basically enough to beat everything that puts in our way. Even AT guns, we can just, if we macro correctly, this can take out a lot of Russian troops, which early on, except for like, let's say, Su-100, which is an tank destroyer, we can't do that with the single AT gun there as well. So the France is really good at putting pretty cheap, very indestructible compositions, because basically 3 RT gonna kill much of his infantry, which will recon does. Recon will outgun his recon. I think it's 21, 75. It's 15 damage here and 15 damage there. So yeah, they're basically same. But if you micro well and get the first shot off, you're always gonna win. If you're gonna fan it correctly, you will win. So it's up to you how you will decide to play. Then again, I made 2 admins myself, since he's really been stacking those admins. He has 3 now, which is really ridiculous for the 8-minute mark at that point. Basically, he's not making any troops, and we need to push. And when you see opponent doing admin play so early, even if you're ahead, you can't really count to sit back and just do nothing and hopefully win the game. So from this point, I'm just thinking, well, I need to do something. I'm gonna bomb the racks so we can move forward. I'm going to basically use all my forces which are in the middle to push at one point, since he doesn't make actually any army. He's building admins. So one push, I have a bigger army than his, and it should be easy. So we take a look again. We're moving back, hitting his recon, bombing his AT gun, which can possibly destroy our recon. So we pop that out, shoot some more, micro. He's making another Rex, good for us. So nothing's big going on. He does a camo, which really doesn't help him much, except for this depot, which I can bomb. So he's doing a light push over here, which means we have to kind of consider this as some part of attack here, because our depot is really unguarded there at the moment. By the way, when you see opponent doing admins, first thing you want to do is just go bombers and bomb those admins down as soon as possible. The faster the better, really. So we do a little small retreat group, shoot his Strelki, which are pretty useless, retreat our artillery to deal with those, bomb the last infantry, send 1 recon to actually defend it, and we send some medium tank out, because medium tanks can beat recons, and well, he can actually sit in the woods here, but well, we still need to send something out. So, but I'm more focused by getting out 2 bombers and a recon, so we can bomb his additional buildings as well, and that basically should win us the game. So we reset on the 3 admins and we go like boom, and he only has 2 guns, so we successfully take out all of his 3 admin buildings, and that should be game over for him, because well, he doesn't have air. We want him really good about here. Basically, he can't do much against this strong composition. His assault guns are useless against my AT, and he surrenders, and we call it a pretty good game from this. So let's take a look at our score. We got a decent orders per minute, since we were microing our troops correctly. We got really good kill ratio, and well, this speaks for everything. We were actually behind the incomes, so that's the one thing we can say to our opponent. Well, you got us in the income, but you didn't really use that money to make units, so, and we bombed all your supplies, so you can't really defend. But the thing is, he could play this a bit more, like, even when we got bombers, like, if he would have spread his admins a bit more widely, it would take me more runs, so he can stack more AA and maybe win that game, not allow me to take all of his 3 admin buildings in a single run, which is really devastating for him at that point of game. If he was actually higher on income, which means he could get a correct composition to beat me, but he didn't. So he didn't actually made the money out. His admins didn't pay out since we weren't so late in the game, and so our push, our both initial pushes, like spreading the 3 RT, worked, and everything just worked. So that's probably gonna be end of this video. See you in the next video.